So I'd best talk for a moment or two about how we see the situation that Mr. MacBride describes as a great test of whether free goods are somehow going to drive out the incentive to produce in the net. Free software, of which the operating system kernel called Linux is one very important example among thousands. Free software is the single greatest technical reference library on planet Earth as of now. The reason I say that is that free software is the only corpus of information fixed in a tangible form through which anyone, anywhere, can go from naivete to the state of the art in a great technical subject, what computers can be made to do, solely by consulting material that is freely available for adaptation and reuse in any way that she or he may want. We enable learning all over the world by permitting people to experiment not with toys, but with the actual real stuff on which all the good work is done. For that purpose, we are engaged in making an educational system and a human capital improvement system which brings about the promise of encouraging the diffusion of our science and useful art in a way which contributes to the perfectibility of human beings. That's what we were trying to do, and we have done it. We are, as it happens, driving out of business a firm called the Santa Cruz Operation, or SCO Limited. That was not our intention. That's a result of something called the creative destruction potential of capitalism, once upon identified by Joseph Schumpeter. We are doing a thing better at lower cost than it is presently being done by those people using other people's money to do it. The result, celebrated everywhere that capitalism is actually believed in, is that existing firms are going to have to change their way of operation or leave the market. This is usually regarded as a positive outcome, associated with enormous welfare increases, of which capitalism celebrates at every opportunity, everywhere, all the time, in the hope that the few defects that capitalism may possess will be less prominently visible once that enormous benefit is carefully observed. Mr. MacBride does not want to go out of business. This is understandable. Mr. Gates does not want to go out of business either. But they are both on the wrong side of a problem in the political economy of the 21st century. They see software as a product. In order to make their, quote, business model, close quote, work, software must be a thing which is scarce. And out of the scarcity of software, there will be a price which can be extracted, which will include an economic rent, from which, Mr. MacBride has suggested, somebody will be enabled to buy a second home. Mr. MacBride thought it was the programmers who would be able to buy a second home, but people who actually understand the current state of the software industry recognize that programmers are not buying second homes these days. I think Mr. MacBride means the executives who employ programmers and the financiers who employ executives to employ programmers will buy a second home on the software is product business model for a little while longer. We think that software is not a product because we do not believe in excluding people from it. We think that software is a form of knowledge. The International Business Machines Corporation, the Hewlett-Packard Corporation, and a number of other organizations, either represented here in body or in spirit this evening, have another theory, which is that software in the 21st century is a service. A form of public utility combined with knowledge about how to make best use of the utility, which enables economic growth in people's enterprises generally, from which there is a surplus to be used to pay the people who help you produce the surplus by making the best possible use of the public utility. I think it would be appropriate to suggest, if you like, that where we now are is in a world where, if I may employ a metaphor, Mr. McBride and his colleagues, I do mean those in Redmond as well as those in Utah, think that roads should all be toll roads. The ability to get from here to there is a product. Buy it, or we exclude you from it. Others believe that highways should be public utilities. Let us figure out how to use the public highways best so that everybody can profit from them, from the reduction of the costs of transportations of goods and the provisions of services. And by the by, there will be plenty of money to pay traffic engineers and the people who fix the potholes. We believe, for what little our view of the economics of the software market may be worth in the 21st century, after all, we are the people who transformed it, we believe that the public utility service conception of software better reflects economic actuality in the 21st century. We are not surprised that Mr. McBride is going out of business on the other business model.